What's up with the weather? Weather disasters are pounding Earth. See how scientists are trying to figure out if the weather is getting worse. By Peter Miller.
Huge hurricanes spin. Flood waters rise. Droughts scorch the ground. Heat waves and deep freezes grip the planet. Extreme weather is battering nearly every corner of Earth. It's breaking records and causing natural disasters. It's also raising questions. What's up with the weather? Is something pushing it to extremes? Or are these disasters just part of normal weather patterns? Meteorologists are trying to answer these questions. They study weather disasters for clues. They look for weather or not weather. Patterns are changing. It will take time to figure that out. Weather patterns change over a long period of time. So one disaster doesn't prove anything, but many disasters might. Solving the mystery is important. It could help warn people about bad weather in the future.
Weather patterns. Meteorologists know that the weather often shows a pattern. It's the result of how the sun, ocean, and wind interact. When the sun shines on the earth, its energy warms the ocean. Soon, the water gets warm enough that it evaporates. It changes from a liquid into a vapor that rises into the air. As this water vapor rises, winds push it. The biggest wind blows in patterns. They circle the planet. Ones near the equator and the poles blow east to west, others blow west to east. All these winds can carry the vapor long distances. Eventually, air cools the vapor and turns back into liquid. When it falls back to the ground as precipitation, such as rain. This process is called the water cycle. The water usually follows these patterns, so meteorologists often can predict the weather for a specific place and time. Now, though it's getting harder, surprising things are happening. Take what happened in the city in the southern United States, which is also the U.S. May is usually its wettest month. It gets about 14 centimeters, 5.5 inches of rain. So no one was surprised when it started raining.
Raising water. The rain makes puddles. It fills creeks. Still it falls. Puddles turn into lakes. Creeks overflow. Water gushes over highways, trapping cars and trucks and the raising water. A building even floats down a highway. In some places, families climb on roofs of their houses to escape floodwaters. By the time the storm ends, a few days later, it has dumped 43 centimeters and 17 inches of rain on the city. This was no ordinary storm. Meteorologists have predicted rain. No one except so much. Though it causes the kind of flood that happens once a 1,000 years in the part of the world. This disappearance was aquatic soon after heavy rains fell in for a week in Pakistan. Rivers overflowed. By the time the rain stops, water covers a fifth of the country. A few months later, rain drenches parts of Australia. Roads there disappeared under floodwaters, and many towns, only houses and treetops stuck up on the water. The flood traps people. In fact, it was dangerous to go was dangerous to go outside. Normally, crocodiles stayed near rivers. Now crocodiles swim down the flooded city.
A storm maker. These floods weren't a one-time weather oddity. All over the planet, floods are causing disasters in places from Europe to China. Meteorologists are trying to figure out why. They start with what they know of weather patterns. That's how they figured out the cause of the floods in Australia. Irregular weather patterns called La Nina often brings rains to Australia. This weather pattern starts in the Pacific Ocean. A big patch of warm water floats there. Normally it's far out at sea. From time to time, though, it moves. When this warm water moves west, it sets up conditions for La Nina in Asia. The warm water evaporates, winds pushing the rising vapor all over land. They are giant thunderstorms dump lots of rain. That explains the storms in Australia, yet it may not answer why there is so much rain. It is one of the wettest La Nina patterns ever. The reason why may lie in Earth's temperatures.
The heat is on. Since 1970, Earth's temperature has risen about half a degree Celsius. That may not sound a lot, yet it can make a big difference in the weather. This tiny rise makes the ocean warmer. As a result, more water evaporates and more moisture rises into the air. Today, the air holds 4% more water than it did 25 years ago. That means more rain can fall during a rainstorm. That may have caused the flooding in Australia. It may also be why the floods in the US and Pakistan were so bad. Pakistan faced the second problem too. The warm-up caused more snow and ice than normal to melt in the mountains. The water flowed into the rivers, making water levels rise. Then the rainy season began. This time, winds pushed the rain farther north than normal into the mountains. Giant storm clouds dumped 12 inches of rain in 36 hours. Already 4 rivers overflowed. It caused the worst flood in Pakistan's history.
Drying out. Weather patterns affect where it rains. They also affect where it doesn't rain. They push rain clouds away. Some places become so dry that they have a drought. Some droughts are part of normal weather patterns. For instance, the western U.S. typically gets little rain. Now, though, its drought has lasted 3 years. That's not normal. Winds whip up dust storms instead of rainstorms. Grass quickly turns brown and shrivels. Dirt cracks. It's so dry that one tiny spark can start a roaring forest fire. Many meteorologists say rising temperatures are partly to blame. They're causing deadly heat waves across the planet, baking places as far north as Russia. The intense heat evaporates moisture even in the grounds and plants. That makes droughts worse.
Deep freeze. Europe faced a very different weather problem to recent winters in a row. Normally, winters in Europe are damp and chilly. They're usually not too cold through. This time, temperatures fell and fell. On some days, they never rose above minus 17 Celsius. 0 Fahrenheit. Rivers froze. Blizzards buried towns in snow and trapped people in their homes. One deep freeze lasted for 3 weeks. Meteorologists meteorologists look at the wind for clues. One wind is extra cold. It's called the polar jet stream. It carries freezing air from the Arctic. Normally it stays up near the North Pole. This time though, it was dipping farther south than normal. It blew cold Arctic air across Europe. It even blew across parts of northern Africa, dumping snow there. Here's an even more surprising part. Some meteorologists think warming may have led to the deep freeze. They aren't quite sure how, but they think that warmer temperatures in the Arctic may be affecting the polar jet stream. They may be pushing this wind off its normal path. It will take more weather watching to find out if that's what's happening.
Meteorologists also are watching what's going on with tropical cyclones. These giant spinning storms form over the ocean. They soak up water and energy from warm seas. They're part of normal weather patterns. Sometimes, though, they become monster storms. That's what happened last fall. A tropical cyclone called Typhoon Haiyan roared across the Pacific Ocean. It slammed into the Philippines, tossing cars and fishing boats. It ripped roofs off houses and blasted out windows and flattened whole towns. With winds gusts of up to 380 kilometers and 236 miles per hour. The typhoon was the strongest ever to hit land. Sometimes meteorologists worry that warming planet will fuel more monster storms like Haiyan. They'll have to wait and watch weather patterns to find out.
There's one thing that meteorologists do predict with confidence. Earth will continue to heat up. Temperatures could rise another 4.4 degrees Celsius, 8 degrees Fahrenheit, by the end of this century. So many weather experts predict that more extreme weather is on its way. Some people aren't waiting to find out. They're already preparing for the worst. In Bangladesh, for example, the government has built hundreds of cyclone shelters. They can help people keep people safe during the worst storms. Farmers also have built floating rafts out of a flower that grows in the water. They plant their gardens on these rafts. When cyclones or flooding rains come, the gardens will float on the rising water. They won't be washed away and destroyed.
Wait and see. So far, meteorologists have more questions than answers. All of these recent natural disasters make it seem like the weather's getting worse. Rising temperatures may be making normal weather more extreme. Yet only will time tell if weather patterns really are changing. So we'll have to wait and see if the predictions of more extreme weather come true. In the meantime, meteorologists will continue looking for clues. With each record flood, monster storm, or bit of weird weather, they'll ask questions. They'll see if each disaster is part of a regular weather pattern. They'll look for changes. With each natural disaster, they'll learn a little more. Then they may be able to answer the question, what's up with the weather?